in the process of moving my office. And so I've been doing a lot of calls from home and some very frank conversations about the Alliance leadership, where it's at, where it needs to be, more creating a locker room environment, which is, we used to have that. We used to operate, it's hard to say. I'm not going to go into where we were before. That really doesn't matter. What matters is where we need to be. And there's more creating a locker room. And what I mean by that, for some of y'all that never been involved in sports, the relationship that players in the locker room while the coach is not there, it's a different type of environment. It's an environment where you can tell your player partners, your teammates, where they need to step up, having frank locker room conversations, sometimes blanket parties. That's a whole different thing. That's when you throw a blanket over someone and then you start punching them. We did that at the academy all the time. We called that blanket parties on a cadet that was acting uppity, and we'd gang up on them like middle of the night. So we'd go into their room and then we'd cover them in a blanket and we start punching them, saying, quit acting stupid. You're putting us all in jeopardy with the upperclassmen. You're not doing your job. Either quit or we'll help you quit or get your act together. So we used to call those blanket parties. Those were really, talk about accountability. Like, I'm not kidding. Plus, we still were able to haze people. So we would bring lower class cadets into our rooms and do stuff to them. I'm not going to overstate it. I mean, they're so wimpy what they do now. I just can't believe it. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that. But here's the idea, though, that Andy was just really saying, hey, man, we used to have a locker room. We don't have one anymore. We don't hold anyone accountable. And I told him, well, the only time that ever really happened recently was during Breakthrough. So Breakthrough last year, like most of you were in the other room, like doing Breakthrough with Marcus. The rest of us had done Breakthrough the year before. More veterans were in Andy Albright Breakthrough seminar. And so I talked several times during that week. My first talk was on how I was recruiting, what I was doing in recruiting. And it was in the evening. And so I didn't know, it was like Friday night. I had no idea it was Friday or Saturday night. NC State had a football game. And so what Andy did was he invited some of the leaders like Andy Riddle and Angela Manzo and Brandon Manley and his son Spencer and their spouses and Levin Tovich's, really kind of a big chunk of the leadership team, Stephen Davies, to fly on the jet to go catch the game. So they flew from where we did Breakthrough, which was Orlando? Is that where Breakthrough was? Anyway, they flew from Breakthrough to Raleigh, North Carolina to watch the NC State football game. So it was just me, the rest of the managers and agents that have been through Breakthrough that evening. And they were doing the Silly Skit. It was just out of hand. They were having fun, but it was just silly. It was stupid. Like, my opinion, it was real stupid. I'm not against having fun, but it was just frivolous. It was stupid. Some of the jokes weren't funny. They were just yucking it up. And so I was up after that. I started my talk out like I was going to teach them exactly what I did in recruiting, all the different things about recruiting. And then one of my slides was showing the recruiting leaderboards. And so I put up the recruiting leaderboard, and all this stuff was kind of welling inside of me because it was like, I just looked at the numbers. And a lot of those people on the leaderboard were in the audience. And you're thinking it's a leaderboard, right? Leaderboard of the top leaders in recruiting. No, it was really the leaderboard of pathetic recruiters is what it was. And it was just like, this was in October of the year. And there was a lot of people, like I had the most numbers, like I'm talking direct recruits direct to me. I had the most numbers, which was all right. It wasn't that spectacular, but it dropped off really quick. Like a majority of people were like 30, 40 direct recruits by October. And I just stopped and I just got real pissed off. I go, you guys are a bunch of wussies. I said, Strag, you guys are a bunch of wussies. You guys aren't recruiting. And I got on their shit. Excuse my language. Actually, I did not cuss, but I bitched them out. And they all stood there staring at me. Couldn't believe I was going off on them, because Alex is nice. And actually, they've seen the Angry Filipino come out several times over the years, more often in the past, more so than now. It's not a very good look at times. Sometimes it is effective. And it was very effective because Andy heard about it. And then he asked people the next day, so what'd you think about Avian's talk? Everyone was going, this room got real quiet. They all repeated what I was telling them that they were. They're a bunch of wussies, wussy recruiters. How can you say you're recruiting? You're only doing like 1 or 2 a month or 3 a month. And I said that recruiting is your belief in the business. How you recruit shows you how much you believe in the business. It was very intense. The room was thick. And after I was done, it wasn't very positive. I told them I continued with what I was telling them to do, but that was probably the closest to a locker room accountability session we've ever had. I don't know if some of you, any of you all in that room? I don't think anybody, oh, Steve, you're in that room, over characterizing it or what, you were in there. So, tell me, that was my view of the events. I could have a totally skewed view. So what did you think?
No, it was like a come to Jesus meeting. We were listening hard, and you were going on facts by the leaderboard numbers and setting some expectations and seeing why we're not, performing like we should be. What a coach would do.
Exactly what a coach would do. And so this kind of leads me to, I think it was really needed. I think it was what we all needed to, what we needed to do anyway. Just trying to hold, it's like, what's the 11th commandment? The 11th commandment is thou shalt not fooleth thyself. If you're really building a business, then show me you're building the business. If you really, show me you believe in the business. So I'm going to share with you the current year-to-date leaderboard is that we need to turn around. Let's turn around for our group. Maybe people will start following us. But if you're on here because I'm assuming you want to build a business, you want to build, this opportunity where you're not having to do all the work and that you're earning overrides on a bunch of people that are duplicating you and that are producing and that they're building and that they're growing. You're actually duplicating yourself. That's the key to building a business like this, right? So, like I said, you're in here. So you're in here because we're going to step up our game. Now, like some of you have not made a decision. I'm asking you, make a dadgum decision. Like, are you going to continue? Well, Alex, I got to do this first. I got to do this first. I don't have the money. You got every excuse in the world not to do it. I'm telling you, every excuse is a reason to do it. Man, if you don't have money to drop into recruiting, like at least running 2 or 3 ads on ZipRecruiter, golly, dude, there's something wrong with you. Why don't you sell some life insurance? Well, it's easy for you to say. No. Hey, did you guys see Mary Donovan, my recruiter, dialed for the first time yesterday? She's never sold a lick of insurance in her life. She's brand new. But Alex, she has all this recruiting experience for you. Yeah, she learned a lot. I've coached her on recruiting, but she's never made a sales dial in her life until yesterday. How many of you were on that call yesterday? I just watched it. I was like, blew me away. She was keeping me on track. How many of you were on that call? Anybody?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, and these were all old-ass leads that agents had in Columbus, Ohio that obviously didn't work them. And she has booked 15 appointments. Now, who knows what's going to happen? I hope she closes sales, but if she closes 0 sales, at least she stepped up into something that a lot of you brand new people were too wimpy and scared to do. She got on the phone and booked appointments. She made dials and she booked appointments. She studied the videos and she booked appointments. She screwed up and still booked appointments. Like, I'm going, man, every time she called me or texted me saying, hey, I booked another one, the matter I got, I was excited for her. The matter I got at the agents that had those leads, they had crap with them. And they just blew them off somehow because she just was booking and booking. So I was excited. At the same time, I was like mad. Talk about angry Filipino. By the end of the day, when she told me she booked 15 appointments, I was simmering. It's like, how many agents are doing that with our leads? Anyway, I hope she embarrassed a lot of you out there by what she did. She doesn't know anything about selling insurance. Well, she does because she studied it, okay? We'll see what happens this weekend, but it's a learning process. She's excited to learn. She's already had some of that canceled. She had 2 cancellations. She said, how do I handle it? The coach her on how to handle it. Come on, it's never perfect. Not everyone's going to show up. You guys know the deal that's been out there. But here's the thing. I love that. I love that she just went out there and did it. And so it's that kind of mentality that I love when someone's going out there and they're putting it on the line and they're doing everything they can do. They're actually making an effort. They're not letting fear stand in the way. I read this somewhere, and I hope this convicts some of you people that are Christians, that worry and fear is an insult to God. Why don't you stick that in your pipe and smoke it? Fear and worry is an insult to God. It's biblical, by the way. There's all kinds of Bible verses anyway. So I totally respect Mary for what she's doing. So let's bring it back to what we need to do. We need to kind of step up our game. If you haven't made a decision, whatever. Go ahead, don't make a decision. But those of you that want to make a decision to step up, start making meaningful change in your life and wanting to build a business, okay, let's talk. Let's coach you. I am committed, coming out of the event, I'm committing to coaching people individually. I'm committed to coaching people hard. Like, I'm not going to let you get away with crap. Like, for example, are you full-time or part-time? I'm full-time. Okay. So how many dials did you make yesterday? Well, I made 50 dials. Okay. How many hours did that take you? 3 hours? Okay. 3 hours. You must have talked to a lot of people. Well, to a couple people. So you're telling me you made 50 dials in 3 hours. You only talked to 2 people and you booked 0 appointments and you're full-time? It doesn't sound full-time to me. Like, you just worked 3 hours. So what else are you doing with your time? And that's where the big silence comes in. It's silent. because they can't tell me what they did with their time. It's that kind of accountability I'm talking about. It's like, dude, tell me what you did. I'm not going to, the idea is to convict you to be better, not to embarrass you. I mean, look, embarrassment is a great motivator too. A lot of these people on that leaderboard should be embarrassed, including me. Probably should do better. I think one year I had his direct contracts to me, it was like 229, which put me, I think, number 3 in the alliance, over the year, 229. Anyway, back in the day, we were recruiting 50 a month, direct contracted agents. When we first got started, we were like, we're killing it. But like I said, the bottom line is I'm going to coach better. I'm going to coach harder. I'm going to coach more like I'm concerned about you, okay, individually. There's this tendency when I bring in so many people, like if someone, part of it is, well, if you don't step it up or don't do what you're supposed to do, I've got 10 other agents I could be talking to. While that is helpful, it's not helpful for you, for me to feel like, here's what I think you should do. And if you don't do it, all right, cool, I've got 10 other agents I can work with. That's good for me, but not good for you, because you're the ones that I need to be focused on and helping. Now, if you don't want to be helped, that's a whole nother story. Like if you don't, if you're not putting the effort in, I can't coach effort. I can't coach heart. You should already want to be motivated. I don't want to have to coach you getting your butt out of bed in the morning to work. I shouldn't have to coach that. You should have the courage and the goals to want to get out of bed early and do what you need to do. I don't want to have to coach motivation. I don't want to coach the want to. You got to already want it. But if you do, then let's do it, man. You and me together. Let's guide you. Let's help you. Let's get you out of your own way. So I'm going to share with you what I'm putting together. I'm letting a little bit of the angry Filipino out. I don't know if it's anger, it's more intensity. So this is kind of formulating my thoughts and how we need to step up as a leadership team. If the Alliance isn't going to do it, then I'm going to do it with all of you. We're going to step up our game. We're not going to accept mediocrity. Do you guys want to be in a locker room of mediocrity? I've been there, done that. I don't want to do that ever again. I want a locker room of excellence. I want a locker room of effort. I want a locker room of holding each other accountable. Like I do this spiritual group, the small men's group, every Wednesday morning. I'll talk about that later. But we hold each other accountable. And one of the most effective things in my prayer life and in my spiritual life that I've ever experienced. My prayer discipline is incredible. And so that's where some of this stuff is coming from. So stepping up to leadership, I don't care where you are. I don't care if it's just you're leading, if it's just an agency of one. So this is actually a video I shared with my Curcio group, my small men's group. And the whole thing, I sent this to them because if you disciplined your prayer life like Kobe Bryant disciplined his basketball training life, you would be so far down the road of holiness and sanctification than the average person that goes to Wednesday, Sunday service and has a Bible study. Because what you did was you amped up your effort in small increments over a smaller period of time that compounds every day. So I want you guys to listen to this, like really listen. I know I sent the reel of this out. This is a full-blown YouTube video. I want you to listen to it.
I've been with you for a long way. The one moment that stands out of, we've done, I don't know how many done, we've done what, 800 events. Mm-hmm. The one time was 4 a.m. We went out to practice at 4 a.m. And that was your idea to do it. But and then, all these Nike people are like, no, let's not do that. And then you're like, let's do it at 4 a.m. So you got security, you got brand marketing, sports marketing going, no, let's not do it. You're like, let's do it. Because that's your sustenance, right?
I mean, to me, it just makes complete sense.
Not to us.
But I don't, like, okay, so.
See, all right. Usually, I'm sleeping at 4 a.m. You're working out. So talk about that.
Okay, so if your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, mm-hmm. right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train at 11, right? 12, say 12, train at 12, train for 2 hours, 12 to 2. You have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8. Right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions. Right? Now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4. You go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, and now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4. Right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in.
Is that genetic? Or is that something you ingrained and trained yourself?
No, it was
Who
just
taught you that?
For me, it was just common sense. Like I can if I start earlier, I can train more hours, and I know the other guys aren't doing it because I know what their training schedule is, right? So I know if I do this consistently over time, the gap's just going to widen and widen and widen and widen and widen, and they won't be able to get that back. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was just common sense. I'm like thinking, how can I get an advantage? Oh, start earlier. Yeah, let's do that.
How do you develop that, or where do you learn that from?
Well, I think it's just it's just a matter of what's important to you, mm-hmm. and what's important to you for whatever reason. I felt like I didn't feel good about myself if I wasn't doing everything I could to be the best version of myself. Mm-hmm. If I felt like I left anything on the table, it would eat away at me. I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror. Right? So the reason why I can retire now and be completely comfortable about it because I know that I've done everything I could to be the best basketball player I could be. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it comes from for me. You can't leave any stone unturned.
Kobe Bryant's known for his training regimen. It's famous, the things that he does over his career in the NBA. And I love what he said is if your job is to be the best basketball player that you can be, then this is what I've done. If your job is to be the best leader of an agency that you can be, the best producer of life insurance that you can be, then get up early. How bad do you want to be that? It comes down to how bad you want to be that. If you don't, that's okay. If you don't want to step it up, you don't want to go for it, hey, still stick with us, okay? Maybe you'll get it later. What I want to know are who on this call or who listening to this is sick and tired of being where you're at. If you raise your hand and say, I'm sick and tired of being where I'm at, then we've got a prescription for you. Get up early. Let's go to work. Let's focus on how we can help you be the best version of yourself and hold you accountable to that. Well, I'll read a book, when I can get to it. No, man, there's certain things you have to do. And there's more to formulate here. So this is not like the be all end all, but understand this. Kobe Bryant gets up at 3 a.m. so he can work out from 4 to 6. Then he relaxes, takes a shower. Then he goes back out there from 9 to 11. Then he relaxes, spends time with his family, has lunch, then works out from 2 to 4. Then goes home, has dinner with the family, hangs out with the kids, then from 7 to 9. Then he comes home, gets sleep, and then wakes up 3 in the morning over and over and over again. Do you see what he's saying is that he's putting 4 times more work probably on a daily basis. So in other words, he's already amped up every day. Now he does it every day, and you multiply that and it compounds even more. No one's going to be able to catch him. Like no one can catch you if you're willing to step up and do more than what you're doing now on a consistent basis on a daily basis. So here's key performance indicators as a builder that you need to be cognizant of. You need to be tracking these. There are things that you need to evaluate your business with. There could be some things on here, other things, but I'm trying to keep it in a very trackable list. And some of you will have 0 with these. The idea though is not where you are today. You got to know where you are today, but where do you want to be? So how many fast tracks are you doing every week? How many new people are you fast tracking? How many people are turning into contracted agents? How many ads are you running? Like what is your ad spend every week or every month or whatever? Are you putting money out there? Are you putting ads out there? How are you sourcing people? If you're not sourcing people from any consistent way, whether it's ad spend, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, I don't care what it is, Craigslist ads, maybe you're just meeting people. Well, God bless you, man. Meet people and be consistent at doing it. Go out there and meet 5 people a day and then call them back and see if they're open-minded about, creating some business income. Whatever. It's the idea is that you're investing somehow, some way into showing the opportunity to a brand new pair of eyeballs. How many confirmed tickets do you have to the next event on your team? Well, I don't even have a ticket yet. Well, that certainly needs to be addressed. The first thing I'll hear is, well, I don't have the money. Dude, seriously? We need to get you selling insurance. Confirmed tickets to the next event. Issue paid legs. How many individual legs under you that are issue paying business? How many unique writing agents do you have? Like at the end of the month, how many unique NAA numbers are writing business in your group? These are all very important numbers because you get 20 to 25 at the end of the month. You're an agency manager. Like you're probably more like a district manager. I just be conservative, say you're an agency manager if you have unique writing agents. Here's another important metric or KPI is how many recruiting agents, like how many people on your team are independently bringing on agents on their team, which is your team. If you have 0, then we need to fix that. We need to get someone on your team who sees the vision for building a better and more awesome life, which the only way to get that is through building an agency. So how many unique recruiting agents do you have? What is your own personal production? It's like, man, show me a top leader that's ever built a business without doing personal production. Andy Albright did a little bit of personal production when he got started. So let me ask you, you think you're an Andy Albright? Like, come on, something. Put some numbers on the board. Maybe your lack of credibility with people that you've tried to recruit is because they never saw you turn in any business. How's personal production? Now look, you don't got to do 30,000 a month for people, have any kind of credibility. Look, if you did 5 to 10,000 a month, 10 to 15, whatever, just show your team that you sort of know what you're doing. You can make dials, you can get leads, and then issue paid production per leg. So this is sort of related to issue paid legs. How much production in each one of those issue paid legs? Other metrics, to also look at is what are your overrides every month on each leg? The idea is to maximize your override in each leg. What kind of overrides are you making? So these are the KPI basics, in my opinion, to track when you're building an agency. See, one of the most important things in accountability is knowing the metrics that you're being measured by, the metrics that you should be measuring your growth of your group by. And even though some of you will have zeros in a lot of these, let's see what they look like a month from now. And let's see what they look like 2 months from now. Everyone starts somewhere. Y'all got to get started where you are, but let's move you through. Now that you know what they are, now you can put goals together on what you want them to be. That's where kind of you and I will talk, or you and your upline manager will talk about, where you need to be with these. I gave you one little hint. If you got 20 to 25 unique recruiting agents or unique writing agents in a month, you're probably a district manager or more. Anyway, it all kind of adds up statistically, but this is important for you to know and track. KPIs, key performance indicators for building. Okay, this is more of your workout regimen. Okay, there's more here that I could put on here, but I just want to start out slowly with basics. When you're working out, you got to work on your chest, your arms, your legs, your abs, your butt. You know what I mean? Like, you ever see weightlifters who they're big up, massive up top, but their legs are skinny? And then you have the weightlifters that have crap aerobics, like they don't have any aerobic stamina. It's like they overemphasize one particular area. Here, really, what we're trying to do when it comes to leadership development is for you to fall in love with the process of self-development. The self-development part of this business is so important as far as being a leader. You will step up to leadership when you have people that you're leading. There's a whole dynamic. Like if it's just you, there's not much in terms of leadership that you can learn. You learn leadership by leading people and running into all the issues and negatives and people that whine and people that are really good that you're not motivating, they're because they don't respect you. I mean, someone who could be really awesome, but you're putting a lid on them just because of you and trying to identify what are those things that you're doing to your people to keep them from winning. There is a whole, but you can't learn that until you have people on your team. Like, I don't want to make it too complicated. I don't want to intimidate you, but it is the crown of leadership is heavy, but on the right head, on the right shoulders, and with the right alignment with what God wants you to do, it's something that is a burden that can be handled because, God will help you handle it. So some key things that I think we need to start. If you want to be a leader, you need to start today. I love what Mike Marisi said. I don't know how many of you were on that call. Everyone should have been on that call. That's the other thing that I probably should have put on here. You need to be on the call, on all the calls, right? He said he started committing again to reading 30 minutes a day and listening to audio 30 minutes a day. Now, the audio can be book on tape, okay? But there's audios. There's a lot of different audios out there, leadership audios, whatever. But there's reading and then there's listening to audios, and they all affect you in different ways. But man, can you imagine if you read 30 minutes a day and you listen to audio 30? Can you imagine how much better? It's like my prayer life, right? I'm not going to get into it, but at the end of the day, when I look at the time I spend in prayer, it doesn't sound right. It's insane though. From what I was doing before to what I'm doing now, you'd be like going, what? When do you have time to do anything else? You know what's interesting? I'll give you a tip that I've learned. When you give God his time, he always gives you enough time. Let me say that again. When you give God his time, he always gives you enough time to do what it is you are going to do to serve his will. I think there's a big part of that is submission, where you're totally divorcing and separating what you want with what he wants you to do. And when you make that decision, it's a huge, huge weight off your shoulders, because whatever he's guiding you to do is what you ought to do. So it just makes enough time. I don't think you could ever over pray. I don't think you could ever out pray. I'm not talking about, there are religious orders that do contemplative prayer. That's what they do every waking moment, is they're in contemplative prayer. They're orders that are called to do that. Now, your calling and my calling is not that, obviously, because we're here. Okay, but it's the same thing. It's kind of analysis. Actually, that really ought to be, what's your prayer life like? Well, I say, I don't know if I believe in a God. Okay, we're going to have a conversation. Not that I want to convert you. Well, yeah, I do kind of don't want you to go to hell. That would probably be something that I would care about, that if you spent eternity in damnation, I don't want that to happen. So maybe we need to talk. Anyway, read 30 minutes, listen to audio 30 minutes. Next one is write your goals daily in the morning. That comes out of the book Goals by Brian Tracy. I recommend everyone on this call, the next book you need to read, like tomorrow or today, is Goals. And read that part about why you want to write your goals down every day in the morning, like fresh. You're not reading them from a list, because when you wake up in the morning what your goals are, not having, you might have to reference it again. Okay, so granted, but until you really know, you can just recite it at the top of your head. That's a real goal, because it's in your mind all the time. I'm not saying they got to be 12 different goals. Like if you have 2 or 3, awesome. But you need to write it up fresh, new, when you get up in the morning every day. That's a habit. So we're talking about winner habits, leadership habits. You need to counsel with your upline once a week minimum. You need to get together and kind of figure out, okay, what am I doing? What's holding me back? What do I need to do to move forward? Maybe you're doing everything great. Awesome. What do you think you need to do more? You'll be able to tell me that. But that's probably the best. Okay, so tell me, how should I coach you? You need to counsel. If I'm your upline, like a lot of you on here, I am the upline. Like some of you, I'm the upline. There are other people that, like Patrick, and that you need to meet with. Okay, but there are a lot of you on here that are direct to me. You and me, we both need to do that. What are you doing to get to the next level? So it's kind of twofold. Do you know what your next level looks like? For some of you, it's agency managers. What does agency manager look like? You need to know what that looks like. You need to know production requirements. 25,000 each you paid. 12,500 has to be outside of you. You only get credit for your own personal production up to 12,500. So you need some other legs getting you the other 12,500. You do that, you're an agency manager. That puts you into doors and you get an agency manager rank. Do you know how easy that is? But do you even know what that looks like? So once you know what it looks like, what do you need to do to get there? Again, this is something that you and I can talk about. You need to have ads. You need to be talking to new people every day about getting in the business. It's in recruiting and building. The ultimate question, this is one Andy always asks me, who in your group are you excited about and why are you excited about them? Alex, oh man, I got this guy and his wife, even better. They're mid-20s. They're coming out of real estate. They can't stand the real estate business. She's a mortgage broker. They just want to get away from that. They're doing it just right now to make money. They don't have any kids and they just love what we're doing. I'm so fired. I'm like breathing heavy. I'm breathing fast. Oh my gosh. So my question for you is, have you got a list of names for them? Have you started showing this business to their family and friends? Have you, I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions, because we don't want to let those great people die on the vine. Who knows in the end if they're going to be any good or not, but hey, it's someone to get excited about. I'm all for being excited something or someone. Actually, I got a coaching call like right now, 2 minutes ago with Tanner. Anyway, this is really the stuff I wanted to cover to make sure that you guys understood how we're going to steer this in an accountable way so that, we're going to get people moving forward. And at the very least, we really focus on developing you, your leadership, your character, and then focusing on the actual activities you do from every day to make that happen. So we're not just focusing on one aspect of you. It's like like I said, the bodybuilder that only focuses on chest and arms and abs. They neglect their legs. It's hilarious looking. You guys know what I'm talking about. We're going to focus on you as a whole person. We're going to teach you how to attract better people to you because you're focused on you developing and growing. Now look, you're not ready for it? Fine. I don't care. I do care about if those of you feel like you're sick and tired of being where you're at and that you deserve more in your life and you need to make a change. Well, then here I am. I kind of laid out some things for you. Now let's kind of hold each other accountable. Oh, the last last thing I was going to talk about is accountability teams. So in my Curcio group, what I love about it is it's a group of us 7, and we go around the table, and there's just something powerful of being in a group of men, and the women have their small groups of women. There's something powerful being an accountability group. And so I'm formulating an idea. I've already ran it through a few people that, man, if we, 3 or 4 agents together that are building or that are producing or doing both, and they meet every morning at the same time every week, they can keep each other in. They keep encouraging each other. Someone's having a bad week, help them get over the bad week and move forward, like different aspects of experience. So I'm putting that together. I think that might make a big difference. I've seen these type of things fail too, just because not the right people. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I got to get off, man. And does anyone have any questions for me?
Hey, Alex, I didn't want to cricket you. I did have a question. I know you got this call, but so when you're dealing with people like, we fast tracked 2 this week that are coming from close to 6-figure salary incomes, and both guys are diving in, but ensuring that their biggest thing to me is, hey, I've got to ensure that I can print money fast. I mean, they both have some savings and things they've done well, but it's just, they're going to be ready to get to work and get fired up. While they're studying, both asked me this, hey, while I'm studying and getting my license out of the way, what are some things that I can be doing, some resources I can be learning? What do you typically do with people like that, just that want to plug in right away?
Well, it depends on their capabilities. If they can get involved in our training while they're studying for their license, typically I don't find too many people that are that disciplined. Now, your guys might be very well disciplined and they're very intellectual in that case, but if it messes them up from getting their license done, like, look, if they can get their license done in 3 days, like freaking
Right.
Levichogis' daughter, 18-year-old, she studied on the drive home from an event, a 10-hour drive home. She studied in the car. She took the test the next day and she passed. She's freaking 18 years old. Why is it taking your guys so long? I mean, come on. If they are saying, well, I've got all this extra capacity, it's like, well, then, dude, why don't you pass it today? Why don't you take the test tomorrow? If you're so brilliant or you're so bored, but if they, look, send them to the training website.
Yeah, 10-4.
But the minute it slows them down, then you know what their problem was.
I do, for sure.
So that's cool. The other thing too is if someone's so excited and they quit their 6-figure job, did I quit my 6-figure job? No, I didn't, because I wasn't stupid, right? I did the smart thing, which was got into it part-time, started creating 6-figure income part-time, and then 3 months later, I walked out of my job. But I wanted it bad. I wanted it freaking bad, man. So I was willing to do anything and everything to do it, right? But I didn't quit my job. Everyone, when you have someone's all fired up, they're coming from a 6-figure job, and it's another thing if they got fired or they got laid off or whatever. That's a whole different thing. Right. I mean, let's get them licensed. Let's get them going. The Louisville boot camp, we went over what's it take to make 6 figures. Nick Greco went over this weekend at the event what it takes to make 20,000 in a month. Book 20 appointments a week. I mean, it's very simple. So those guys can get ramped up as fast, and if they're anything like me, and I'm not all that great, if they just have the desire and want to, you can't stop them from making 6 figures right away. I think a lot of that is concept in our own heads. Well, I didn't make 6 figures right away. Well, why are you holding other people back from making 6 figures if your stupid brain couldn't mentally handle you doing it soon? Why put that crap on someone else? Does that make sense? Like, why let your lack of performance and your lack of desire and your lack of a goal hold your team down? Okay, I'm just talking metaphorically to anyone. If you have ears to hear, listen. If the shoe fits Cinderella, but if that's not you, man, rock on. Let's move forward. Does that answer your question?
It did. You answered. I didn't ask it correctly, but I was wondering how to lead and handle without them hurting themselves. But you answered it. That's exactly what I was asking. Yeah. Thank you, man.
Okay, good.
Hey, Alex, this is Adrian. I would like to be on a group that you were talking about. What happened to my video? The groups that you were talking about of people that do recruiting or people that sell, because I do a lot of recruiting. I can't seem to make this video stay on. I do a lot of recruiting and pretty good at it, but I love to be in a group where I could work with other people as well and get more tips. Thanks.
Yeah, maybe we do something. I'm not talking about an hour-long thing, like maybe a 20-minute get-together. Let's talk about it, half hour in the morning, once a week type of thing, and just maybe put a few groups together. A little bit like what Jeff Wright does. His takes a lot longer, but something like along those lines. Well, we'll see. We'll see. If you're interested, let me know. So.
Okay, I definitely am. Okay.
Awesome. All right, gang. Tanner, I'm gonna log out and then I'm gonna log back in, and then we'll get our session going. I mean, I did see you yesterday, which I was pretty happy about.